Good evening, chat. Welcome back to Essentials. Welcome back to our coverage of the current ETF2L season, aka season 49. It's the fourth week. We're halfway through, basically, and well, the teams aren't letting down in any way. It's still interesting in many ways, as should this match be between Venomcrest and the Danish Tyrant regime tonight. Before we get ahead of ourselves, talking about all the funny stuff that could, would, or maybe should happen. I'm Cerny, hi, joined by JMax on the production and Rock on the mic. How you doing, man?
Yeah, doing pretty well. Excited to get back in the booth and cover some of this. Really interested to see how kind of the lower half of the table is shaping up, at least in the early days here. And interested to see whether Venomcrest can start to kind of give themselves a little bit more to work with.
Yeah, they've had a rough couple of weeks so far, haven't they? They had to go through a lot of the gauntlet early on. I mean, Anticide, Witness, just both of those already knocked out early. It's tough. They picked up points against Samicot at least, so they're maybe already starting that run back, right? It's feasible that if they keep that up, maybe there's even a playoff spot in there. Sure, they still have Forfans and Mandem to face off against if we're talking about like the top four currently, right? And if they manage to steal any points away from them, hey, even better. Building on that, though, they have to go through Danish Tyrant regime first, who are also probably playing at about the same level right now, I would argue, right? So
yeah,
I guess this will really decide who gets to race for that final playoff spot, at least like have a chance at it.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, I was looking at this, and this is obviously still relatively early. We're kind of, week 4. How many? It's not like insanely early in the season, but at the very least, we get to see the picture of the mid-table starting to shape up, right? This is a matchup that really decides, as you said, one of the last places in that playoffs and who it's going to go to. So Venomcrest really looking to bounce back from those difficult first couple of weeks. After a win versus Samicot, they're feeling themselves a little bit, and DTR are now their big challenge to say, hey, we're here to play, and we can take some names as well.
We'll see whether that is going to go their way, though. The map picks are on screen right now. It's quite the choice of maps this week. I mean, damned if you do, damned if you don't, almost in any way. I think out of all of these Granary Metalworks are probably the sanest choices for most people. And they're still, well, I think they can be a bit of a toss-up sometimes. DTR opting for the Granary pick first, so I guess we'll see how much it favors them, right? It's traditionally much of a soldier map. And if we're talking soldier duos, I do think Kayan and Tyram probably have a bit of an edge over Smile and Nikki. Maybe. I don't know. It's just my assumption of it, at least. They're both also really good, but I think, like, you know, Tyram and Kayan are, like, at least at LAN, they show that they're capable of quite some crazy stuff sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, actually, overall, this series is a really great place for them to make a name for themselves and really stamp their authority over this mid-table. And I think Venomcrest should be well situated. As you said, Granary is their first map. Then they've got Metalworks, which is still a very powerful map for soldiers. A lot of great bombs that you can really get out there. In particular, looking at Tyram, who should be able to get a lot of work done over on that Roma. And I think that Venomcrest are well situated for that. That is not, however, to say that DTR don't have decent enough soldiers. Obviously, as you said, Smile and Nikki able to really prove themselves in some of the matches that we've seen from them so far, and certainly wouldn't put them or DTR out of this one at all.
Yeah, it's an interesting team, this DTR team, isn't it? Like, it's basically 6 scout mains just mixed together, playing on different classes. It's very interesting to see players that, you know, I mean, Alien, okay, he's played like scout maybe one season, so he's like the least experienced on that class in some ways, but everybody else at least had like a couple of seasons where they were known for their scout play, and then, you know, seeing them like swap to other classes and seeing how well they can perform. I mean, it's an interesting one, because even if you think about like who else would be suited on that team for those roles, right? It kind of just naturally fell to Smile and Nikki to pick up the mantle. And they've been doing all right, all things considered. It's just the competition is steep if you're thinking about it as well, right? If you're ever thinking about a soldier duo comparison, they wouldn't be the first choice for anybody. So this is their chance to prove themselves as well, I think, to really show how just having 6 scout players apparently is maybe good enough. Maybe it is the dream team after all.
Yeah, it absolutely might be. And I'm definitely looking forward to seeing just kind of the actual meat of how much DTR is shaping up as a team. As I said, I think this is the first week that is a real measure of both of these teams, and That's why I'm excited to be here, as we're getting on into the first map here, as we said, over on Granary. Keep an eye, as we said, on these soldiers and just how much of an impact they're going to be able to have.
Yeah, but the thing that matters most for the mid-fights early is also the demo men usually, so we'll see how both Yak and Alien approach their respective positions here. Yak opting for the garage or rollout, just trying to shut down that choke early. A little bit of damage on the medic, a little bit of chip damage, but the rest of the team is going to follow up. Ams will be the first to fall though, and Yak is just in the midst of it. Nice little pipe there onto Alien. Doesn't get the cleanup kill, but it doesn't matter because they just wiped the whole floor all over DTR. They're gone. They're back in the respawn queue. This could be a quick first round of Venomcrest because there's very low chances that they don't convert this.
Yeah, no, really nicely done. And off the back of a really quick pick onto AMS, as you said. And from there, the kind of rest of the team just did not have the space to really make an impact. So nicely played, and as a result, it very much is DTR on the back foot here. They're going to get up that sentry gun. It's going to get to at least level 2, I believe, potentially level 3 here. They've got the sniper on the right-hand side for those off classes, and they're just looking to play slow here. They do have a massive Uber disad, and that's the thing to keep an eye on as the Uber comes out here.
It comes in straight away very deep. The sentry's on the other side though, and they're not going to be able to get it down very soon. They actually use Varnu as well before that Uber even fades. Finally, it does, and well, positioning is still pretty good for DTR. They've chitined the Uber well enough. Lots of cap time on the point, but they're doing a good way of shutting it down. Am's laying down the pain as the heavy as well, and the team is trying to escape as best they can. Eon already dangerously low, just narrowly escaping before finally getting cleaned up, and Kayan is the only survivor. We'll try to get to the point before we head straight into a pause, interestingly enough, but Ams does see him. There's a soldier turning back as well with Smile. So there's a chance Kayan could have gotten this point if he'd moved a little sooner, but it's not happening here. Look at that cap time on second. It's not happening.
Yeah, it really isn't. This was really nicely done by DTR. They played over on the back right from their perspective. And that sniper with the sightline all the way over to the left as well means that Uber does have to get popped really early here. And Venomcrest just weren't really able to get much done. They wanted to try and cut off the right-hand side, but the single player that they actually do cut off there doesn't even die. They don't get anything, at least initially, for that pick. They send a couple of players on over, and that sentry's still alive for the majority of this fight here. So DTR play around that sentry, play around their soldiers who they know can put up a good fight, and then pick apart the players who try to actually get any aggression going from Venomcrest. As we saw, Vanu went down before kind of the Uber even faded. So that was a really important part of it, and what allowed DTR to just kind of go, okay, well, that's fine. We're going to swap AMS over onto that heavy, and if you try and re-aggress here, it's just not happening.
They got shut down just as easily. Now, this pause is interesting. It's so early that this is almost impossible of being a tactical pause, right? Somebody probably just lagged out, crashed out. And I mean, if it's this early at that point, might not just restart the map, I guess, but they don't want to bait. They're just going to stick it through. Yeah, I mean, I'd assume that somebody was just lagging, and that's probably what this is. I guess we'll know eventually. Consider how long the pause is, that's probably even more feasible. There are some notorious bad internet havers in the server, so I wouldn't be surprised if somebody had some problems there. It's a DTR pause, apparently, so interesting. I mean, if you're in this situation now as Venomcrest, yeah, like, how do you salvage this, right? Because they just botched like a sure thing with that last push. There's obviously no chance of getting the round off of this now. They lose second as well. Maybe even mid if they don't get spawners and positions up in time, and DTR want to move quickly with that Uber ad. So where do you go from here?
I mean, really what you've got to do is you've got to try and get a force. That's what they're really looking for here. Make sure your med stays alive, get the force, means you're not on that Uber disad, and play with all the space that you've got. Vanu does exactly that, and that's what Venomcrest desperately needed. Yeah, they lose Vanu, but it doesn't really matter to them at this point. They're already very happy to give up give up mid. They'll probably give up yard if any early pressure does come on out. Doesn't look like there's actually going to be any. They're just going to sit here and be completely happy and content with what they've got. They've got about, I think, a 20% Uber ad. It's going to be difficult to use, especially through this position, so we're probably setting into a stalemate here. Settling into.
No, I mean, one scout for an Uber is probably as good of a trade as you can get, and they'll take that any day of the week to salvage what could have been a pretty big coast-to-coast chance for DTR. So, slowed down to a halt. They're going to be sitting on mid, Venomcrest on second. What could have been a first quick round, that's going to slow down ever so slightly. It's going to become a bit more of a traditional Granary match, as you'd love to see them if you're, you know, if you like sleeping, I guess, I suppose. But I mean, it's on either team here, right? I think it's Nicky's trying to take the initiative. That's a decent bomb in. Doesn't get a lot of damage onto Eon though. Won't get much done with it, and there's no follow up either. Smile isn't following up. No scouts in either. Maybe VNC trying to see if they can get themselves counter sack of some kind. Tyrum's already buffed up and choke, ready to go. Probably rear and maybe get some ground, but just walks straight into the sticky trap, gets shut down instantly. So it's just the endless back and forth. And this is where the pause came through. So nothing was lost either, I suppose. Whoever was lagging on DTR just toughed it out, and here we are, back to normal. So I guess we'll see if this a little bit of aggression on the lunchbox side does anything. Trade out KN for Flick and Yak as well, though, going down. That's actually looking pretty good for DTR. Now no Demo Man to worry about. Another scout taking care of us over into the exchange underway in Yard. Much better positioning, much better players for DTR. Soldier already behind as well. Nicky does eventually get taken down, but VNC all very low and spread apart. Just all the way pressured back to the point, and DTR they grabbed Yard off of it and probably get to continue pressuring the point as well.
Yeah, I didn't really think that that was quite going to work out for them as well as it did, but Nicky making a really great play with that push forward and managing to buy a lot of space for their team. They trade Ubers and they get Yard. Very fine for DTR right now. They're taking this a lot slower. Venomcrest, they wanted that early aggression, they wanted that momentum, and they really weren't able to have it, unfortunately, at least able to capitalize off the back of it. So DTR kind of settling in for the long game, and I think that's absolutely the right call here.
Yeah, I think VNC is a team you want to slow down, because Venomcrest, they revel in the chaotic and, like, crazy fights and stuff like that. So if you manage to slow them down to your pace instead, with DTR, obviously, Am's traditionally someone who likes to play more strategically. Alien, a bit overextended though, does eventually down the point, and Tyrum actually has a conch ready as well to just aggress with here without even having to use any Ubers. If it came to an exchange, this is going to be a little bit thing to just maybe get them started, and they're already getting the frags they need to. Juxta just taking too long to save one player on his team. Make it 2 with Flick at least reconnecting, but they've dropped 3 of the players on that team, and DTR are not looking so good to be able to hold out to mid here either. And Smile just has to leave himself behind basically to stall out the Venomcrest aggression, and the point will flip. Juno might pay. Nope. Juno will live as well in Garage, just barely. And DTR on the back foot with no
that
either.
Was almost as bad as it could have gone, really, for DTR without it being a complete team wipe. They got forced, their demo died to start things off. They got forced, they kind of lost so much space off the back of that, and are on the Uber disad. It's not quite going to get converted, unfortunately, here with 20 Uber disad, 15 Uber disad. No, they're just sending it fully here. Catch on the right. They take down the sentry, they are taking control here. They can lock this out, but there will be an Uber coming out from Juxta right now. They're going to force their way through, take down Tyrum, take down Yak, and capitalize on the left-hand side. This is perfect for DTR. Venomcrest tried to take an Uber advantage all the way again into this last, and it just doesn't work for them.
The second last push in 6 minutes that we've seen VNC botch. I mean, this one wasn't as much of a sure thing as the first one, but still they're not looking good on those. KN's still in behind, being a bit of a nuisance, but realistically he's not going to get much done besides maybe being a bit of a distraction before finally getting killed himself. There you go. But valiant effort, I suppose. Venomcrest not looking so hot. I mean, ultimately the Ubers are going to be rather equal again, so I suppose it's not the worst situation, but they have to give up mid here. DTR feeling themselves under pressure, having the player advantage to work with as well. Going to be working out on that. KN deciding to pick up the rifle. It's a little bit of sniping. I mean, it's not a traditionally great sniper map, but if there's an angle to snipe from, this forward spawn on Yard is certainly a decent one. But as soon as they're aware of it, which it looks like DTR kind of just smelled something like that coming, considering they all went lunchbox instead. They don't have to worry about a sniper here. They're just going to take that Uber straight, and Nicky might be the only one to fall to that because the exchange is underway. Well, I say exchange, it took a while for Eon to actually have to pop. There was not much pressure. Half the team is already dead as well for DTR, and it's looking like a great one for Venomcrest to bounce back with.
Oh, Juxta does go down here, yeah. Really nicely played by Venomcrest, and I think a lot of the back of it is those soldier picks, because it wasn't just one. Flickers in the back line does go down, because that sniper didn't actually just find Smile, Nicky, it also found Smile right before, so without any soldiers to really get aggressive, Venomcrest see their opportunity, push forward, get the force, and then just absolutely milk DTR for absolutely what they're worth. Now they're going to be pushing back in this time. Let's see if they can actually have successful Uber and a successful last push off the back of that. But it will be the second being held right now. Who's just, well, tap dancing on that point as Yak provides a little bit of space for their team to push on forward. There's still about 50% ad here, and they really want to make usage of it. That's why those players are so far posted up.
Yeah, they want to get in as quickly as possible. On the other side this time around, unfortunately, June isn't caught in the Uber. Immediately gets sniped by Ams. Bit of cap time as well, but Yak ain't looking so hot. Eon has Uber's faded as well, and he's out of harm's way. Term, the last bastion left behind. There's a saving grace, though, that man managed to achieve with his rockets, and that is killing Juxta there to make sure DTR won't be able to snowball off of this. Best they're getting is second, maybe a bit of pressure into the yard, but they're not going any further than that. They're gonna have a hard time getting farther, and that's probably what's keeping VNC in this. Maybe they revel in the strife. Maybe they need a little bit more opposition on these pushes to really do well, because the worse their positions have initially become for these last pushes, the better the pushes have got. This was the best attempt they had. It wasn't like a huge loss. I mean, they still didn't convert, but, you know, it went better. So maybe this time around it'll be even better, considering there's more time for DTR to set up.
I was going to say that third time is the charm, but obviously that one didn't go quite as well the way. It's the fourth time is the charm, man. Eventually they'll get there. If they keep slamming their head against the wall, it will happen. Here comes another Uber ad for Venomcrest right now. They take down their sentry in pretty short order. Uber doesn't manage to find much in terms of plays, but it finds a massive amount of positional advantage, and they stick the point, take down the remaining players with those post-round crits, and Venomcrest, it takes 4, but they do eventually get there.
Grueling 10 minutes to go through, but they realize, we can just play the objective. I mean, this is crazy. I think they maybe figured out, like, DTR love being passive on those Ubers, right? They love kiting. They don't really play the point very much. So you just have somebody sit on that thing, and it's gonna go your way very, very quickly. And there you go, Venomcrest, pick up a round, make it 1-0 with 20 minutes left. It's plenty of time still for DTR to clap back themselves, but they gotta set up a little bit of a fight on this mid. Remember, last time around they did literally wipe, so there's a chance that that could happen again if they haven't gotten on top of it in the meantime. Haven't gotten warmed up as the mid is underway, and Yak is the first to fall, so that's a crucial pick maybe to actually put it in their favor. Smile will get traded out on the other side, and well, health-wise it's looking a little bit better for DTR. Positioning-wise, it's either one's game either, and it looks like DTR might be able to bully themselves a little bit in here. The soldier jumping Alien, but not going to be able to get much done. Ground denied. Varno gets taken down as well. Trade out for Ams now finally. Flick dangerously low on the side of DTR. Both teams still kind of sticking this for long, but it looks like DTR will eventually win off the player picks.
Yeah, it was nicely done. I mean, it was actually relatively even in the end, but the positioning was just a lot worse. And the health in particular, was a lot worse than Venomcrest. So they make the right call, back off. They got that ground advantage, and they still have their med alive, all importantly here. 2 players down now. Unsure if they feel like this is pushable, but they might at least be able to get a force off the back of this with 1 scout off the board. They could look to get that aggression going. Ams runs right on in. They want to get Yak, who's overextended yet again, trying to milk it for as much as they are darn well worth. And Ams is not able to find much more. And with Smile gone, that wasn't even trade. Sure, they lost out on their demo man, but they will also lose out on this mid. They managed to at least take down another player as they exit, but they're losing a lot as it happens.
I mean, they wiped the entire team almost. Eon eventually has to pop to just keep his soul scout alive here with Juno. So I suppose the long game still favors DTR in some ways. And Flick actually managed, okay, he almost got the block in there. He does get a couple of frags, actually. You will see the cleanup happen. So don't count him out just yet. Mid has been blocked. He had a bit of backup from a soldier as well. And just like that, the tables have turned. Eon goes down, and Juxta dying didn't even matter because they're going to have like a 30% ad, maybe even 40% at this rate, to have DTR maybe give an opportunity to get into last year. They got a lot of ground to work through still. I mean, second isn't even capped off yet. BNC still looking to hold that as well, but it's only so much they can commit. They gotta take it carefully.
Yeah, no, they're going to be able to take it though. In pretty short order. Venomcrest really can't muster up any kind of defense on that one. So they're going to have to try and play towards with the Sentry or with any other off-losses that they're trying to get. Love that KN is playing somewhere a little bit cheeky up on high right now, trying to catch a player as they potentially come on in. There goes the Uber, there goes the right-hand side. No players going down, but the Sentry will eventually fall. Still got sticks on the point as the soldiers jump back towards it. Venomcrest trying to keep themselves alive as Nunu is desperately dodging for their life as they're the first one to fall as Venomcrest see player after player right now. They're trying to play around Varney. Make that heavy do the work for them, and they just play this slow. They're going to have that Uber, but in fact they do have that Uber, and that's why DTR can't aggress here.
But crucially for DTR as well, they didn't lose a lot in that push. They lost one player. AMS is the only one to go down there, and they get out and get back into positions very, very quickly. And there's no way Venomcrest can push out off of one pick. So they don't, even if they have the full Uber to work with, they're just sitting on that Uber for ages now until it's just even again. And then there's another chance for DTR to convert that push. And with AMS picking up the rifle, could be an X factor to just catch somebody out of position here. They're not ready to get their head blown schmoove off, then that could very well turn tides for DTR to make things even easier. I mean, it's Engineer getting taken out of the equation means that Sentry is going to be very unattended, and perhaps that's going to open things up even more. Yeah, there you go. Actually, they find Flick. I was hoping that was going to be the Sentry pick, but Flick was the first thing in the kill feed to pop up. So I suppose it's not quite that free just yet. Smile's going to have to work for this jump a little bit as well, but he does get some decent damage onto Eon. Doesn't quite get the second rocket, but Force comes out nonetheless. Eventually, they do get it, and that's what they were looking for. Now they just got to keep Juxta in this, and there's a good chance for DTR to bounce right back.
Yeah, nice commit in there from the soldiers of DTR. Nikki managing to get that Force, setting up their team for it, and now they're going to have that override. However, they don't have it for very long. They need to use relatively soon. They're going to try and redouble their efforts in towards this second point right now. But it can be difficult to push if they, as long as Venomcrest play sensibly and play far back to try and not get caught and absolutely roll with Uber. This might buy them enough time.
Maybe, just maybe, but they really gotta make sure nobody goes too dangerously low here or dies. And oh my lord, quick trippy with a sticky trap is certainly gonna make things very easy for them. That's a beginner's mistake. Not checking that one on the point, just getting a little bit too caught up in it, and well, now DTR reeling to get out of there. At the very least, Juxta lived, so if you're licking your wounds, you know, they can stay in it. But they're certainly gonna have a hard time hang on to it for long. Flick already taken down, trade out for Juno on the other side. I mean, there's a fight on mid, and second hasn't even been capped yet. Oh
man. That's really unfortunate timing to get that one to come up, because we're about to see that Uber likely get popped on Yak here. And Ampis, as I think they've already used, like, what percentage are they at? They're at 85%, so there's about a second already used of that Uber right there. And we'll give them maybe enough to catch those players on retreat. Juxta and Ampis are really going to have to get out of here quick. If they're going to really be able to make this one happen. Smile already jumping in as well on this mid means that they're probably going to lose that player. I don't think that Alien's in enough pressure, but Venomcrest are about to turn on this one, and I think it's going to be very difficult for DTR to make much more out of this other than a Force.
Yeah, like this is going to be an exchange for them, obviously. It's already not favoring them. The saving grace maybe is the fact that it's going to be solo on AMS for a while. So
True.
maybe if you can get a lot of flashing out of Eon, perhaps that can salvage it. But then everybody else on the backlines for DTR has to somehow live through the next like 6 seconds without getting absolutely mulched by everybody on the high ground. So yeah, it's a tough one. It's certainly not an easy position to be in. They already lost second off the back of not so stellar play now, and find themselves on the back foot again after this. Could even spiral into another round win for VNC at this rate, because they've been looking pretty solid now. Tyrant's still on the conch as well, I've just noticed. Still rocking the conch, so with this Uber in play, maybe he'll get that built up pretty quickly, and then God knows what happens then, right?
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's going to be another opportunity for DTR to kind of push back a little bit if they can find these opportunities, but so far Venomcrest have managed to find some pretty nice kind of just picks in DM more than anything. DTR have been playing the slow game a lot better, but Venomcrest have just been pouncing, like striking like a snake even, on pretty much any opportunity that has been given to them. Sometimes that doesn't go well for them, but I like the fact that they've got that kind of, well, they've at least got a sense for the lethality to try and find the opportunity to actually push anything open.
Yeah, it's a tough one. And I mean, there's a pause again, right? There's a good chance that somebody on DTR is lagging again, which, I mean, maybe that would be a handicap that they're going through right now. Maybe that's the thing that's that they can lick their wounds with, like, you know, we had like a guy that wasn't doing all so hot on the internet or whatever. But yeah, they just haven't been looking on top of the game right now. It's a bit unfortunate to see. Venomcrest, despite also, you know, making mistakes, obviously, from time to time. I mean, they took 4 attempts to get the first round. They've just been making less of them. They've been making less of the mistakes. They've been more cohesive in their play. And, well, there goes the unpause. Yep, the Uber does indeed come out for Eon, and he will have to flash a little bit, so they will fade at roughly the same time. But positioning is just so much better for Venomcrest off the back end of that. And it's gonna boil down to the post-Uber fight. Everybody's so low as well on the side of DTR. Nicky's the first to fall. Everybody else just backs out. Ams also gets picked off, and maybe some more people mulched and choked here as well. There goes Alien. It's not looking hot at all if you're DTR. At the very least, your medic escapes. You'll have an Uber for Lost at the very least, but it's just not looking that solid so far.
No, it really isn't. It's not working out for DTR in the ways they want to. I think in particular, maybe needing to back off a little earlier in some of these scenarios, because they could have kept Alien alive there. They could have had a little bit more space to work with. And now they're just like seeding a couple of players in yard here that's really not where they want to find themselves. They're going to have that Uber for last, almost certainly, yes. But Venomcrest are very happy to kind of push on in here, try and get players locked off that left-hand side, really solidify themselves before this push even has to happen. The Uber has to be burnt early here from DTR.
Yeah, matter of fact, they didn't even have to use for VNC until right now for Eon to respond, keep everybody else in this as well. Term, the only one to fall so far for the side of Venomcrest. Crucially, DTR doing an okay job kiting that Uber for a while as well, and not much point pressure, not really forcing them onto the point, but eventually the cohesive aggression comes through. Lots of damage by Kayn and Yak to clean up everybody, and there's a second round. On the board for Venomcrest, this is where the pause came through. That could have been attack one, to be fair, but yeah, it's not looking good, DTR bros. They got 13 minutes, to be fair, to come back, but they're 2 rounds down now.
A lot of time to work with. But again, I mean, Venomcrest actually starting to get a little bit of a better hold on pushing that last, which is not a great sign for DTR. Really nice play of getting players in earlier, completely smothering that left-hand side and kind of, I mean, frankly, choking out DTR to the point where they had to use that Uber early. A lot of damage on Alien if someone pushes forward, but that stick isn't going to land. The dart's going to come through. And they're going to try and hold up here, but a good shot from Nicky takes down Eon. And that is the kind of opportunity that DTR are desperately looking for.
Finally, a chance to do a nice conversion on the mid here. Just keep your team, keep the rest of them cohesive. Unfortunately, they got to deal with that heavy on the crate, though. Maybe that's why this mid was going a bit strange for Venomcrest early, because they had to wait for the artillery to come here. I don't even know how far they got up there that quickly, but I guess those gloves make you run pretty damn fast, and suddenly this mid is a shutout victory for Venomcrest, because getting onto that heavy in that position is extraordinarily difficult.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know how this came to be, right? Nicky kills that med almost instantaneously, and it doesn't matter. Vanu will eventually go down here. He's very low now, will eventually get finished off by Flick there, but completely shifting that mid and forcing out the Uber as well from the side of DTR. So that's not going to be ad, that's going to be disad for themselves. Ampis doesn't go down sure, but these players are trying to come back on in. KN just trying to make sure that they don't try anything funny. And DTR set back towards second with very little to their name.
So much for a one mid. It was so close, and then it slipped through their fingers. They were caught blindsided yet again by the classic Varnu heavy Putus mid. And once more, Venomcrest managing to get that mid under their belts. Now with an Uber ad as well, able to take yard fairly easily. Matter of fact, if they keep the momentum up, they might even be able to take second with it if they manage to get onto the enemy team. That being said, Danish Tyrant regime aware of what is befalling them, but aware of what could come their way, so they managed to hold back a little bit, slow it down a bit, and now it's going to be equal. But VNC looking to get through that lunchbox, putting a lot of pressure on there, while everything else is just kind of unfolding for DTR to try and find their way back into this. Because remember, they are 2 rounds down. They can't really afford to sit back too much. They have to take the initiative off of even just the smallest of chances at this point if they want to pick up 2 rounds. And it's starting to, starting to look a little dire for those situations. So I don't know, man. Smile going down there is certainly not going to make it any easier. I mean, you got a little bit of damage to Eon, but it's nothing to make him sweat at all. And they didn't even trade out Tyram on the other side either, so they're already on the back foot again, and all it takes now is an exchange that goes their way. Parnu eating a little bit of damage. Jux actually got forced? When did that happen?
Oh, they just went straight in, killing off Yak there. Really nicely used, so again, catching that demo. But Venomcrest, because they are able to milk that one a lot longer, they're just going to push on in here. They really want to force off these 2 soldiers. Some good damage does mean they are going to clean them up. And another round here for Venomcrest. Now, we were talking about, well, eventually, we were talking about this spot, and we were saying, hey, 10 minutes, it's not a short time, they've got time to come back, but importantly, it's not a long time either, especially when you've got, well, Venomcrest, frankly, on top of you, completely smothering you out here with this aggression. I think DTR are really going to struggle here.
Yeah, like, 10 minutes for 2 rounds, that's decently feasible. 5-minute rounds. 5-minute rounds are like, they're brisk, but they're not insanely difficult to pull off. You can have some missteps in there and still do all right. 9 minutes for 3 rounds is starting to get a bit dire. It's still possible, but you gotta be on top of it. And with VNC just looking as good as they have been, it's gonna be even harder. No heavy to mid this time around for them to worry about. Though Nicky, another huge bomb in straight away. Eon eats a lot of damage as well. Not a great position to be in. Kane will get taken off in the other side, but crucially Juxta dies, so no heals for DTR. And if Eon can escape here, which he's doing a good job, the scouts are keeping him safe, and he will get out. That Uber is going to be in play for Venomcrest. It's a 1 mid finally for DTR, but it's certainly not the momentum or the speed they need if they want to carry this to another 2 rounds afterwards.
Yeah, you know as well that Venomcrest are looking at this one and going, okay, well, it's time to get aggressive, right? They are looking to try and find these great opportunities with that Uber that they have done, frankly, the entire game long. And it's been a major reason why they've been able to really deny DTR from taking any of these advantages that they can get. Yeah, they've got mid here, but it ain't gonna last for long if Venomcrest have anything to say about it.
I mean, it'd be foolish not to push here if you're just trying to maximize your winning chances. But then again, Venomcrest don't want it. Pressure's not on them. They up 3 rounds. They got absolutely nothing to worry about. If they just want to run down the timer, that's completely fine for them as well. And I mean, considering they do struggle with the slower play sometimes, maybe putting yourself in this position, just using it as practice, right? Having an opportunity to see how you handle these stalemates. It's free practice that you can get in at this point. I wouldn't be opposed to that line of thinking either. If you're Yak in the driver's seat of the team, being like, yeah, let's just slow it down a little bit, try this out, and Nicky won't be able to escape his little bombing attempt there either. So I mean, maybe that's enough of Venomcrest to taste a bit of blood and move forward themselves. The scouts are rearing already in garage, and there's a bit of pressure as well from Kaon up top, but doesn't look like it's going to amount to much after that.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like it's aggressive defense here. They're just like poking and prodding and trying to find that opportunity, but losing Vanu's obviously not great for the side of Venomcrest, but they're going to have to chill out, hold it a little bit back, go back into the second. Here comes the Uber, and well, Yak just about kept alive. Really nice awareness from Eon there, knowing exactly what was going on down. Going to be Tyram trying to jump on into the backline, catch someone as that one goes out, but it doesn't happen. And that's DTR. They found their opportunity. They've got a player advantage. Going to start to move on in here. Vanu is over on that engineer as well. So that second point is going to be theirs. And if they're going to take this map, they've got to be quick. And they've got to close this one out in, well, pretty much no time flat. But yeah, that Uber is not there for them.
You gotta go now, you gotta go dry. You can't wait for these Ubers to be a thing. Unfortunately, losing 2 of your players, crucially Alien, one of them, is not gonna make it any easier to keep the momentum up. I mean, you can't blame them for trying there, but it's certainly not gonna make it any easier to just bleed in time at this point. There's no way Venomcrest are pushing out off of just that, unless they get another couple of overextended picks like Nicky there. And I think it's just starting to just slip away from them again ever so slightly. They're waiting for the Uber now. That's going to be what they have to play. But Eon's going to have his own. They might even cap second off the back of this. Venomcrest getting away with pretty easily. Flick maybe trying to go for a bit of a flank, but realistically, he's not going to be meeting much. And the Uber just comes out for the side of DTR. Unfortunately for them, they have to commit very deeply to get the Uber out of Eon as well. And Ams will actually pay with his life for it. So they're not getting anything. It's a zero-sum game.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I mean, that was a trade that was it. And then they also lost a player. DTR, I think, are desperately grasping at straws right now. And I think they're starting to realize that the idea of getting 3 rounds in what is now 5 and about 3/4 minutes is just not happening for them. They've got to deal with that sentry. They've managed to take on Spencer. They're trying to spam away something here, but they lose player after player as they try and get aggressive here. And it's just not happening for them. DTR don't have the energy, don't have the momentum, don't have anything, frankly, to really push into that last.
And this was their pick, by the way.
Yeah.
This was their map pick as well, so either they were feeling confident that this would be a choice that they could do well on, considering the other options they had available. Maybe this... I mean, we always mention it, right? Oh, this was this team's map pick, this was this team's map pick, and then more often than not, they just end up trading the maps anyway,
Yeah,
right? So there's a good chance that DTR are just going to look insanely good on Metalworks, and they were just hoping that Venomcrest would pick it, but... well, another opportunity at this last push. They're going to see if anything in this Uber will amount to anything, as they're not really getting any frags down at all, but the cap time is all that matters, apparently. They take a page, much rather, out of the Venomcrest book there, and just play the point. Works out, they do get the round, now they got 4 minutes for 2 more. It's possible, but they gotta pick up the pace.
Yeah, they've got to have some pretty crushing mids. And so far, they've not been amazingly in their favor. They did find some nice picks. I mean, I feel like Nikki has really got Eon's number, especially in these mids. So they definitely could find something. And I think, again, the soldiers of DTR are very solid here. They're going to have to be, to me, the ones to really drive this.
Oh, we'll have to
Very
see
slow.
if they can get this, because this bus is going slow, and they're waiting on that Nikki bomb to do something again, and he's gonna get onto Yak early, gets they clean up that frag, as Smile comes in for the clean up on the other side, and they get a lot of frags, but they lose a lot on their own as well. It's just even numbers at the end of the day. They do find Eon, which is crucial for cleaning up these remaining 2 rats still hiding. SKN is just hiding behind the corner here, a scout around as well, and he got a bunker up against Varnu, who's already in the medic's face. Okay, they find that scout. Now there's KN to deal with, and, well, they haven't spotted him just yet. He's just gonna waddle onto Juxta and gets away with it too. Oh, you hate to see it. You hate to see it.
Man, I cannot believe that you find that on there, KN. Just managing to sit right in the little cubby here and catching the player as he comes on out. The crazy thing is Ams walks past them onto the point there. Doesn't spot them.
Yeah, he even looked like he turned around for a split second, but I guess he was just out of frame. But didn't quite see KN in the corner, and... you hate to see it, but... Look, DTR is still technically ahead. They have a bit of an Uber descent, but they have positions, they have the keen will to keep moving, and under pressure, maybe that's where Ams really activates his strategies here as well. As they gotta keep rolling forward. They cannot afford to falter or even doubt themselves for a second. They don't even have an Uber to work with, and they're just pushing into a ready team anyway that Ubers on them and doesn't get any frags besides finally cleaning up Nikki, but that's even just a trade. Smiles in to just clean up here as well. They actually get quite a lot of frags. Matter of fact, Eon was so overextended that he gets taken care of, and I just realized Juxta's rocking the crits. That's why they built it so quickly. I mean, it's not like they would have done anything against the Uber, but now that it's ready, they might be able to, you know, pounce back pretty quickly. Perhaps?
Yeah, I mean, if they want to try and crack things open, they definitely have the opportunities to do so. They're going to wait for both those scouts to be up, but aggression, again, they just move on in, they take Nanjunu, and then they're going to keep on moving. Nicely done here. Again, the players of Venomcrest, not really looking so great for them right now. They've lost a couple of players, so they're just going to have to play back towards second. I think this is a great call, and I think they're probably aware of the crits right now, so you can tell from their positioning. They're not looking to muck around. They're not looking to get caught here. They're trying to make sure that they can, well, basically delay as long as possible so they could maybe potentially build that Uber, or at least hold out on last and buy some extra time, because there's only a minute 40 on the clock.
Yeah, and the crits are out, but they're not finding anything.
Oh my
God. Just no positions whatsoever. Junu cleans up Alien as well, as those crits have already faded. There goes Ams. I was gonna say, like, they have to use these crits quickly. They have to move in very quickly, and Venomcrest have to stall, but Venomcrest didn't even really do any stalling. DTR just moved so slowly themselves. They were so careful trying to make sure that they don't get caught with anything, so they went all the way through Lunchbox and just waddle all the way onto second. It just took so long to get into any sort of positions. By that time, Venomcrest were just scattered on last. They couldn't even connect a single crit sticky, and now, with a minute left, it's looking impossible to bring back 2 rounds. So we are indeed looking at what could be a one-map opportunity, or it isn't one map for VNC, and what could be the final scoreline if DTR don't manage to convert this round within the next minute.
No, it really is over for DTR now. It was kind of sad to see. You can see that the med died with 95% Uber. It is never a good sign. DTR, I mean, I think they understood that they have to be, they have to really will rather than won't, and unfortunately, a lot of that kind of hesitation from them not working out at all. Alien, I don't know, looking for some sort of stat here,
something,
but it's not happening, buddy. Unfortunately, you're like a fish out of water.
I mean, I respect the Ambassador play, because you would have had like a weird, crazy statistic at the end of the season. He would have been like the demo man with the most headshots in the season. That could have been kind of funny.
That would have
like,
been very funny.
I'm a sucker for like weird, insane outlier statistics like that. That's a funny one to have under your belt. Unfortunately, it didn't happen, and unfortunately for DTR, they lose map 1, 3-1. Venomcrest are gonna take Granary fairly commandingly, fairly dominantly.
Yeah.
And, well, I guess considering it wasn't even their pick, I guess we'll see how much that changes or stays the same once they head to Metalworks next. But for now, they're looking mighty solid and giving DTR a big run for their money.
Yeah, I think a big part of it was just that aggression in the earlier part of the game. Managing to kind of look at every opportunity as a reason to go forward really allowed them to kind of just catch I think DTR in a lot of scenarios where they weren't expecting something, or they weren't ready for something, or there was a small opportunity. And I mean, definitely there were a lot of times where they tried to like they saw a small opening, tried to go for it, and they just didn't have enough time to do so. Whereas the times that they found it was where they were able to push and roll over on the last, for example, about 3 times, in fact. Now, I think this is really important to keep in mind because you're looking at Granary here, right? A map where actually making any progress is a real slog. So finding that massive opportunity to just roll through a couple of points or just completely crush a defense is actually a really good shout from Venomcrest.
Yeah, it really shows. And there's the logs. Everybody can look at the beautiful numbers. I saw people in chat making predictions about Flick's DPM numbers. I guess whoever got closest to the post is, you know, they can pat themselves on the back, I suppose. But looking at DPM as well, Juno, top of the charts.
Wow.
That's quite something on Scout, no less. I mean, 30-9 as Scout on Granary is also kind of crazy, actually, if you think about it. It's actually not something you see every day, at least not on this map.
I mean, the thing is, right, is when you're playing to basically deny, as Juno really was, and playing for those Ubers, essentially, you're not really dying because you're basically just focusing on keeping your med alive, which, as you can see from the stats again, Aeon only died 7 times. And you're just kind of cleaning up on the rest of that damage, really, and just shooting people as they come on in, playing slow as much as you need to. And, you know, if the soldiers can't make their flashy plays happen, Juno just gets to sit back and farm that damage.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just pure stats difference. Like,
overall,
Venomcrest got 36 more kills than DTR did, and they did over 5,000 more damage. No, not quite over, but like almost 5,000 more damage.
So
that's a lot. That's a very large difference.
Yeah. I mean, I was really impressed with I think it was KN, who was also on like 25 kills and like 9 deaths. I think that was the correct soldier.
5 actually, I think.
5 deaths, maybe even. I mean, it was really impressive to see. And
no, 9.
Yes,
9.
It wasn't. Okay, I was right. Obviously, Granary, we think of it as a soldier map, but a lot of the reason we're thinking of it as a soldier map is obviously either that mid, which can be very volatile, or a lot of bombs, a lot of kind of setup for some pretty brutal kills. Oftentimes, you're trading on that. The fact that KN got good damage, found all those kills, and managed to survive that much is just testament to how much value they were finding for their team.
Yep, it's quite something, and well, it goes to show that maybe it's not much of a soldier map if your scout can just top damage that easily. maybe we're just talking out of our asses all along, and we didn't know what we were talking about. But things change. And so do the maps, and now we're on Metalworks. It plays a bit differently, and this is the map that Venomcrest at least wanted to play. They were rearing for it. Out of all the remaining choices, they were like, yes, this is the one. This is the one we want to see. Maybe, perhaps DTR are happy to see it too after what was quite a little bit of an ass whooping on Granary.
Yeah.
So I mean, this is what gets interesting, right? Do you believe that DTR can find their way back into this? Do you think that they had what it takes and they just couldn't quite string it together because map issue or whatever? Or are Venomcrest just gonna run the momentum and just roll away with it?
Great question. I actually think that this is not horrendous for the side of DTR. I'm looking at this map right now and I'm going, okay, this is still soldier-centric, but in a way that kind of is a little different to what we get out from Granary. And I think in particular, Nikki was looking real good over on Granary in a way that kind of, the amount of times they got that med drop, especially on mid, can make a real difference on here. And it's a lot harder to kind of stem that bleeding. We saw a lot of really janky fights and janky scenarios for Venomcrest where, I don't know, they dropped med or they dropped demo and no one was really able to punish them for it. They kind of fought back in a really solid way and around the fact that it's actually difficult to push anywhere on this map. On that map. Whereas here, I think that Metalworks really can just like be difficult to like stop people from just pushing on through when they get those player advantages, right? Like if you take down the medic or the demo, for example, on this map, things really start to look very difficult for the opposing team. And I think that DTR were actually finding a lot of those, and I'd be happy to see them take advantage of it. They started to get some momentum towards the end of that. They squandered it a little as they desperately tried to find their way on in, but I think that they can show us something more here on Metalworks.
There's a chance. It's also a map where I think flanking is a bit easier than on Granary.
True.
Like Granary, yeah,
100%.
you have the drop down route, like the classic, but everybody knows about it nowadays, right? Metalworks, you got a little bit more opportunities to go unnoticed, like cubby holes and little like side passages that you can just run right through. And I mean, Nikki was doing a good job already, just slipping through the cracks. So who knows how much better he can get. Flick, notoriously a great flank player for. Well, like when he gets to have the room to work with, and now having a little more room to work with could be something that allows him to make some stuff work as well. It's always feasible, right? So I don't disagree. I think DTR, if they can stabilize, if they can just put Granary behind themselves and realize, okay, just wasn't our map, maybe a bit too overconfident, a bit too eager, they can certainly still pull it back here. That being said, if the fights get more chaotic, I do believe that tends to favor Venomcrest, because that's the thing. Like, yeah, they had a lot of weird chaotic fights last map that they ended up coming away a little worse for wear from, but they still won anyway, right? So they just revel in that chaos, and I feel like a lot of teams that aren't like at the tippy top, like the only teams that we see able to really deal with that are like the best ones in the game in Europe. Like as soon as you start even just taking a few steps down from that, they struggle to really, find responses to that chaos that Venomcrest revel in. Because, like, yeah, they could be losing the fight, and then KN comes out of nowhere with a bomb and kills 3 or something like that. Or a Varnu Heavy turns the corner and cleans up all the damage, right? So, those chaotic strats really are something that favors them a lot of the time. And, well, if they can get away with it on Metalworks as well, could be looking at something different. But, speaking of Metalworks, it has commenced. The map is underway. It's our second map. Venomcrest take the first one, so we'll have to see if DTR can show what they're made of and actually find their way back into it. Or if we're going to be looking at more of the same as the mid unfolds. And, well, so far so good. Just a bit of bombing and peeking and prodding, but nobody's actually died yet. No players get killed. Finally, Nikki's traded out for Karam, and there goes KN as well. No soldiers now for Venomcrest. They were arguably carrying a lot of the team on the last map, and look at that. Off the back of that, Venomcrest realized, yeah, let's just get out of there. Let's just retain positions on second.
Yeah, both soldiers actually fading away from their initial bomb to try and catch Nikki, who was looking to go behind. And unfortunately, they just found themselves in the sights of the scouts with their scatter guns and completely picked apart here. Aggressive from DTR as they really want to pose up here on second and try and find some of that space. The Uber is forced out. It is going to be a trade. And look at that. They're going to have to flash Alien here and get out. Nicely done by Venomcrest to make sure they don't lose too much space here. And even sending Tyram diving into the enemy team and will go down. So that is a player pick. DTR sizing things up.
Yeah, certainly seeing themselves a lot more aggressive straight off the back. Smile, big bomb, but nothing to land on. Just gonna opt for the point play instead, as Ams leads a bit of a charge forward, but we'll have to slow down as well. And yeah, it looks like Venomcrest just have to kind of back out of this. And DTR actually like being really aggressive already. They're already in this last here. Just so much pressure. They're ready to just roll it in, perhaps even try if they so desire. So much point pressure, so much pressure just in general. Damage onto all of these players of Venomcrest. They're all so low, matter of fact. Eon can't even spread enough heals around. Finally, a couple of players go down for their troubles, but DTR are determined there to not give Venomcrest any time to really set up for a last hold. I mean, it could work for their favor if Venomcrest now doesn't manage to make this push out work, because they have an Uber ready as well, and well, if they can get away with another little cheeky pick maybe, perhaps they could, but Juno dying I think puts a cap on that.
Yeah. We're going to try and contest that in the lobby here. Again, keeping an eye on what is now the right-hand side for DTR. Wanting to see if they can break through that, but you can see KN just waiting for that one. Tyrann even trying to deny the player from lobby, takes down Alien,
okay,
with Smile gone as well. This is a massively disadvantaged DTR. They're going to have to push back into second, maybe even further, as the Uber trade comes through to try and maintain that point. Vanu gets the sentry up in lobby here. I don't know what that one's about, but they will clear out a lot of these players. There is looking for a chance to sneak. Flick wants to try and make themselves into that last point, but it doesn't quite happen here.
Yeah, that sentry somehow, I mean, caught out of position the engineer, but eventually it actually does, you know, accomplish a lot of zoning for a while. DTR will clean up though, we'll move on forward again, and they're still fighting this so dry. They don't care about waiting for Ubers or taking it slow. They know that maybe they just want to have to move for once and not take it as slow, because that's what bit them in the ass last time. There you go, I finally found the right conjugation of the verb. I mean, yeah, okay. It's basically a reset, right? They're still just looking at this last somehow, seeing if they can get some sort of bomb in. Flick pays with his life. Smile gets a lot of ground. Actually, gets away with way too much for how little damage he did to Eon there. But Eon, maybe sometimes just being woefully unaware of what's coming your way is good enough, because it turns out your team can just pick up the slack and kill everybody. That's all that matters sometimes.
Yeah, really nicely done here by VNC to hold out on that one. And this kind of highlights what I was talking about the map as well before. DTR got a small advantage. Well, they got those two soldiers, and then they kind of found the positioning that they really needed over on second to really push on through. This map is actually very easy to kind of shift between the different points, so long as you find a small advantage, except from that last. We saw them get held up there, and now, well, it's going to be the sniper to take down Yak right away, meaning that that longer range damage, that spam, is not quite going to be there. The Uber was used by Venomcrest, but to little avail.
Yeah, they get a little bit of grounds with it, and they managed to push back on DTR for a while, but DTR come right back in. They didn't really eat too much of that damage from that Uber, and okay, losing Alien traded out for KN is probably a pretty big blow, though, if you're trying to really get back into this midpoint. They still haven't lost it, mind you. It hasn't flipped sides, and Venomcrest not in control of that just yet. Flick still on a sniper as well, doing a bit of zoning, just denying a little bit, but that jumping soldier is a hard target to hit, and Tyrann knows very, very well that he can get away with quite a lot here, but just being behind, and somehow even wins the duel against Nikki there, which probably he shouldn't have, but yeah, you get away with some things that you shouldn't sometimes. That's just how it goes. Flick another headshot to clean that off finally, though. Managed to get that soldier out of the equation, but it's just slowing down, right? Just buying a little bit of time. Venomcrest to get their own Uber ready, which they will have now for that second hold, and even with the soldier down still, it's going to be a bit harder for DTR to get away with too much here. They have to work for it, and work for it they are. Well, kind of, I mean, they're really just biding their time as well. Couldn't really have anybody bomb in. I feel like they were trying to make space for a bomb there. Finally, the bomb comes in.
Ooh.
But doesn't really land much at all. Nice attempt. Eon eats a lot of damage, but it's not going to do much. And KN doesn't get the counter sack much done with it either, so it's just another reset probably.
Yep. Team's playing relatively slow here, don't have to commit towards anything, just send out those. As I say that, completely denied that option or opinion. As the Uber trade does come through here, Jax has got to be very careful, separated from the rest of their team. He's going to try and get out here, but completely cut off. Nicely done by Vanu. They will lose a player, will lose a soldier. That's not enough to keep Venomcrest back right now. They're going to be able to build that Uber ad. Probably head up towards maybe 30, but Leon goes down. Nice hit coming through again from Nikki, the player we set to highlight here. And Venomcrest not able to take that advantage anyway.
Smile with the cleanup as well. The soldiers coming in huge there. Everybody's just bunched up in the lower area. Yak caught cut off as well from trying to get out to last. Smile on top of that right now, on top of his game, really stepping up suddenly from, you know, being a bit quieter on the last map. And perhaps DTR have really found their stride finally. I mean, they still got to convert around again. But by this point, to be fair, Venomcrest didn't convert around on Granary either, so we're continuing the tradition with slow first rounds, and even slower as Ams picks up the rifle again, seeing to maybe get a cheeky little pick here onto this last point if they're unaware. And yeah, finding Yak is a pretty good one. That's going to make things much easier for a little bit of pressure to come through his K, and can't get much done with his little pounce. And Tyram going down as well. Rams is finding the shots. They're giving him too much room. They're giving him the angles, and Venomcrest are getting punished for it. He just barely misses the shot onto the mid, but it doesn't even matter because the point pressure is already there. Everybody else is completely distracted, and just like that, DTR snatch it from under Venomcrest's noses.
Yeah, no, really nicely done by TTR, and in particular by Ams, right? Over on that sniper, finding just the picks they need to get them in with kind of minimal effort there. I think a real big problem right now for Venomcrest is when they're on the back foot, it feels like Yak is getting caught every single time. And when Yak goes down, especially here on Metalworks, you're going to feel that. As I said before, this map can be a very slippery slope, go all the way to last instantly. And then if you lose a player there, it's game. You're just done. You're out. And DTR are absolutely aware of that. They're going to take away Vanu. Smile will be able to sit back in this position so they don't get taken down, but Tyram will fall. Nicely done by Venomcrest. Sorry, by DTR, as they don't lose any players and force down Venomcrest back on the second.
Yeah, KN trying to maybe cut somebody off there in alley as well, but it's not gonna work. You're gonna have to just get out to second with the rest of your team, as Smile is in for his bomb already, and yeah, Venomcrest are passive. They know what's coming their way. They know the slippery slope they're on already. And they just gotta get out of there. Keep Eon alive, keep it safe, and well, you've got your last hold being mounted. Equal Ubers, it's a nice situation to hold in at the very least, but DTR have been very, very aggressive on these. They've already got a soldier coming in over above as Smile is in deep once more. Gets gunned down by the heavy, but buys a little bit of space. And Tyram just gets straight out on the other side, but they find Ams with the cleanup anyway. And it's still not looking like this is something DTR could really push off of suddenly. Venomcrest back in control for the slightest bit, but they can't push out either.
Interested to see if Ams goes over onto the sniper here. It does indeed. Had a lot of success with it on the previous push. Completely understand why they're going to go for it again. Let's see if Jonu can hold up to denying them away from a lot of these angles, because Jonu has been on a pretty decent performance of sniper, at least in the previous map. Would not be surprised to see them do it here again. It is going to be the SVS likely to decide this, but with Nikki gone already, they're already lacking players. But it's not really going to be anything to warrant a push out, I think, here from Venomcrest. I say that, Tyram is getting a little bit aggressive, but is likely the only player to do so.
Yeah, no, the one pick isn't enough to go off of, especially with a sniper as well, but you're just biding your time, you know? You got 20 minutes on the clock, even if you're down around. It's nothing to scoff at all. It's nothing to fear yet. No pressure is on, really. You can just take it slow, maybe even go for the reset if you really gotta. Play those sniper plays. Am's not quite having the right angle. Junu's got that one better, and there you go. Wins the sniper v sniper duel. Smile's still out of the equation as well now because of Tyram picking up that frag, and Yak maybe just winning a duel against Alien here finally. Getting that kill cleaned up as well. It's looking like there's a chance for Venomcrest to actually finally push out on. Obviously, Juxta's not going to want to have that happen for free. He'll use his Uber. And they do find a couple of frags onto the Venomcrest players. And even deny a bit of an escape here as well. As Flick shooting the stickies, Yak will probably get caught. Does eventually go down. But is it enough for them to push off if they need to collect themselves for a while? They're very low on the side of DTR. They really want to push this last. They really want to get in here, but they gotta bite their time. They can't just overextend immediately. It's gonna bite them.
BNZ swapped off of Sentry, off of Engineer, which I think could be a real problem for them. They do actually manage to hold regardless, but I was really worried there. They had a level 3 Sentry and a Dispenser up here that I thought was going to be integral, frankly, to their defense.
And they just switch back again.
And they switch back. Ooh, that could have been really problematic. They managed to avoid it, and I think again that's Venomcrest's kind of clutch factor kicking in a little bit there to keep them alive.
Just about, but it could have gone any way, and I think if DTR were aware of just how much Venomcrest was scrambling for the defenses there, they probably could have been a little bit more aggressive and gotten away with a little bit more as well. Now Juno back on the sniper again. It's not much to lose when you're on last anyway. You might as well go for it and see if you can find yourself some angles, catch somebody off guard. Been doing a good job already. Clean up onto Smile is good enough as the sentry just juggles him into the corner, and That's a nasty angle to get away with as well. It doesn't quite line up the shot in time, but still, it's a dangerous one. And matter of fact, I didn't even notice this, and neither did they. KN just slips in and gets the force onto Juxta.
Yeah, nicely done again. Venomcrest soldiers doing pretty darn well over on Granary. It's not a surprise they're going to have success on Metalworks as well.
Getting away with a lot, and it's keeping them in this. I mean, minute and a half, roughly, left in this round now. The round reset very much on the table for Venomcrest. At this point, even if they... I mean, maybe if they get a full wipe, there's a chance for them to push out, but they would need a lot to convince them to get out of this last at this point, because they can just get 2 points for the price of 1 the longer they wait, and, well, I don't think they see themselves going anywhere anytime soon. So, yeah, they're just gonna keep sitting back, waiting, and enjoying themselves with DTR in the driver's seat. The ball's in their court. Flick gets taken down before he can even really enter, as Smile tries his best to get a bomb in here somehow, and will just die for his troubles as well. Can't even trade out for a frag. It's not looking good for this DTR push, bros, and Tyram is already on the aggression himself.
Yeah, DTR not able to really make that push happen for themselves, at least at the current moment. They're going to play a lot further back. They know that if the reset happens, it's not the end of the world for them. Great force from Tyram here. They will lose Junu for it, so going to have to beat a hasty retreat if they want to get away from this one right now. Venomcrest will be able to only lose a couple here. They do still have access to that Uber. That's what they're really focusing on. They've got the sentry up. They can keep themselves alive. Look at Flick here over on the spy. He's going to look for a chance to decloak. No one's nearby. They're not going to hear it, I believe. Is he going to make a move forward? That's a stamina, baby! Flick finds it for their team. Goes down the sentry. Who cares? They're absolutely needing to go for this right now. About 15 seconds on the clock. They've got to go now. You don't have time, DTR.
You gotta go, and you can just play the heals. Just play it well, just play the positioning. There's a lot of players on the other side. Unfortunately, they got crits as well, though. Varn does so much, and Alien gets taken down. There's 2 more players to follow suit, and it looks like they won't be able to convert at this rate. Nobody can get to that point in time. It will be a round reset. It doesn't matter that Flick gets a potentially round-saving medic pick, because there's nothing else to capitalize on. And here we are. Round reset, another chance for Venomcrest to get themselves back in it, and it's still half the map to play for, so yeah, plenty of time for them to do it. Plenty of time for DTR to get nervous and mess it up a little bit, so it'll be interesting to see.
I'd be a little bit frustrated after the Flick there hitting a really nice stab that eventually leads to nothing. Again, we were talking about the fact that DTR are a little bit slower, a little bit steadier, and I think the emphasis was definitely on slow there. They could have found an opportunity to move forward, but really great call from Venomcrest. They shut it down. They had the crits on the engineer. We managed to make it happen. Smile wants to try and get aggressive here as Nikki is behind, though in this mid, manages to take down one. And will at least trade across with Ams down. That's both scouts combo. KN accidentally takes themselves down, but with Juxta off the board and Aeon alive, this is what Venomcrest are looking for. Look at that sticky.
Nikki and Alien, they're on top of it.
Surf?
They want him so bad, and they do get it eventually. It was a nice surf, but Nikki still had enough rockets to just chase him down right away. It's only Yak trying to hold down the fort here. Doesn't get the pipe onto Nikki he needs there, and will just have to pay with his life as Alien cleans him up. It will be a 1 mid for DTR. A long and grueling fight, mind you. It took quite a while to get there, and there's a spy play out of KN already. Certainly not something they'd expect, and it's going to be a slow one considering he is on the Cloak and Dagger, but yeah, it's a heads-up play really, because I don't think they're going to expect the spy play at all.
No, I don't think they will. It's about 30-ish, ad for the side of DTR as well, so this could be a nice opportunity for them.
Okay, no, he uncloaked too early. I think I got a bit too eager. Probably wasn't expecting DTR to be that aggressive with that spy play. Fair enough. Yeah, you win some, you lose some. Can't quite. And not everybody can be a Flick on that one, I guess. And I guess we'll see how DTR manage to convert this one perhaps this time around. It's certainly a much nicer chance, but Eon's going to get close to his own Uber very soon. And if that point pressure doesn't come through, there's a lot of cap time now, but there's also an Uber ready for VNC. They've already lost Juxta, so the sustain is completely gone, completely shot for DTR. Smile getting taken care of, Ampus as well. They do eventually get the force out of Eon at the very least to save themselves, but a wipe trying to push last is not what you want to see if you're trying to put yourself on more of a buffer for the remainder of the map, because Venomcrest are going to clap right back and maybe even take it all the way to mid.
Yeah, I think they can probably make it up to mid here. They're already putting KN forward, trying to take control of some of Valley there. Smile with a really nice positioning to actually make sure that they can't get too much here, but they're going to pour in from both sides. It's really very difficult to stop that, especially when your combo is actually located so far back. So DTR are going to go to second here. They know that if they commit incorrectly or erroneously into this mid, it's going to be a real problem for them overall in the kind of wider game state.
Yep, and I mean, Ubers are equal, so that's a saving grace for DTR. Unfortunately for them, they're going to find themselves with equal Ubers on last, because they can't even stand up to second here with no demo and just no presence from the soldiers either. Flick already picking up the sentry gun, maybe even a bit too late, but I guess the equal Ubers will buy them some time unless Venomcrest wants to be really aggressive, because they haven't been in this position yet. We haven't really seen them approach these last pushes yet. We've been on the enemy side of the map for the last half of this map timer, so we'll have to see how Venomcrest want to approach the last push on Metalworks. And we're already seeing a bit of a change of strategy here, because they're not being anywhere near as aggressive. DTR were playing these doors so close, they always had somebody spamming every single angle. Venomcrest are being a much more passive here. They know that they want to play this slow, they probably want to let Tyram build that conch, then go for the exchange, do the classic switchback play afterwards if you can get away with it, as KN just tries his best to maybe get any sort of bombing done and just gets, well, killed as Tyram actually gets traded out as well. Well, I think that play's fallen apart very quickly, actually.
Yeah, I mean, losing out on both those soldiers means that you just don't have the ability to keep control of lobby here. Naturally, they're going to start to post up, get some rockets through, really try and spam you off, but it's going to be difficult to actually push out into the second. For obvious reasons, that demo is just too much of a problem. And obviously, they also have 2 off classes, so it's just not happening.
Yeah, speaking of off classes, Tyram's on the spy, and Ams is probably checking for it already. Very well aware that that could be something that come in their way, considering how passive it seems that Venomcrest have been, and well, they're probably aware of the spy trying to make his way into the last point here. Matter of fact, yep, there's a pyro. And he's gonna try and check every single corner that he can. And to make things worse for Tyram, he doesn't even have the cloak and dagger, so he has to cloak eventually. And there's no way. No. Brother, you can't sap the medic. You can't sap the medic. That's not how it works.
Oh man, tried to sap the sentry into going for the stab, but misses the sap on the sentry and just does not have the knife out in time. A little bit delayed there. And I mean, that delay, you know, that little bit of time made a huge difference here. Uber's going to come through now. They're going to be able to get away that sentry, but they just don't have the space. They just don't have the health to really make much more happen right now. Ambus is going to get caught, so that's a nice opportunity as they take over this right-hand side for themselves right now. Jump in. They take down the sentry yet again. Nikki jumps forward to try and cut off Junu, but doesn't manage to find anything of the sort. The point is completely left open, and I mean, Venomcrest and DTR both know open point means cap time.
Yep, turns out maybe the sapper medic play was all they needed. It worked out anyway. Yeah, no, Venomcrest putting themselves back onto equal grounds. It's 1-0 with 10 minutes left to play for, and well, it's a bit closer than the last time around. But about 10 minutes around so far. Well, much rather 10 minutes a win. But it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough for either team to keep this up if they're just gonna butt heads like this as the next mid is gonna unfold. And well, DTR have certainly been more on top of these so far, but they still haven't been winning decisively. Okay, killing Yak like instantly is certainly gonna make things a little bit easier though. I mean, they trade out Nikki eventually, but Juna goes down as well, and there's just no ground for Venomcrest to work with. Well, matter of fact, they lose Tyram as well, and only one player dying with Nikki on DTR after basically doing his job already. Yeah, no, that's perfectly fine.
I think this is kind of highlighting one of the big problems right now for Venomcrest is there's a lot of times where Yak just gets caught. And I don't know whether that's because the combo isn't quite together, whether it's because of Yak in particular, but when you're losing out on a player like that, who's so integral like Yak, it is a real problem.
And maybe this will just immediately roll into a round. Crucially, Eon did stay alive though. They backed out early enough on the side of Venomcrest. Yeah. They went back to last. They kept their Uber in this, so it's not going to be the easiest last push to convert for the side of DTR. They don't have any off classes just yet to mess about with either, so we may be seeing some cheeky sack plays coming in sooner rather than later, as people just want to get an easy route back to the respawn queue. But hey, they gotta work for this one, and they already struggled with it once before for a round reset, so we'll see how Venomcrest can just cling on to life again for another 5 minutes as they slow it down. Junu already hitting some snipes through the main angle here, and oh, that medic is barely not peeking. Nicky dying to the sticky traps. Smile not quite getting the crown he wants to either as the sentry shuts him down, and this is an opening that Venomcrest want. That sniper is dangerous. You can't let Juno get away with too much of an angle. Any player in the sideline is gonna be dealt some pain, and they do dodge him a little bit.
Not gonna be much of a push out here though. In the end, not a lot of time left. I mean, this can sometimes be what Metalworks is it really is like someone messes up, you slip all the way to last, but then pushing that last can be very difficult.
Doing alright, they're doing alright. DTR feeling out what they can do. They're actually just gonna go for an exchange. Or, well, they're gonna force their own Uber through eventually. Eon uses his own as well, knowing full well they won't be able to do much with it, and Alien just gets caught as well. The Sentry just completely had him shut down. Smile dying as well. Isn't gonna make things any better. Nice little pipe down to the scout. Maybe even get this guy down? No, not quite. He will live. But Venomcrest taking this as an opportunity to aggress forward a little bit more. Maybe they don't want to go for that round reset. At the end of the day, time is ticking. The time isn't on their side anymore. Nicky can't quite bite the time he wants for his team either. Tyrion does get trade out eventually, but yeah, no, they're going to be able to cap off the second probably and keep it rolling forward as Flick goes down, and DTR need to stabilize somehow.
Yeah, and it can be very difficult again to do on here, especially when your player are down. There's so much space, there's so many openings that are very hard to lock down, and DTR, they're going to have to back out here. Maybe try and find something with Smile in that back line, but make sure you don't lose too many players here, otherwise it's going to go completely all the way back. And DTR are aware that, I mean, that 7 minutes to kind of crack open the last is, well, it can be a problem, right? You need a lot of time to make that happen, especially with what we've seen from these teams so far.
Yeah, they might struggle. Yeah, okay, I'm trying to go for a bomb there. Doesn't quite work out. I mean, fair enough. At least gets out with his life. Venomcrest in the driver's seat. They're on the road to a coast to coast here. If they can keep this up, they're certainly doing all right. But you were getting forced, and the team just nuked by so much damage. It's gonna throw a bit of a wrench into the works there. With Kane going down for the troubles as well. Eon still not looking healthy. They just have to back out back to mid, and I think there goes any momentum they had. Now the Uber in favor of DTR, and you know damn well they want to use that as well. Keep it going forward, keep it rolling forward, and yeah, they're doing exactly that. Maybe even just work off of that ad exclusively. If you don't have to fight, you don't gotta fight. Smile does get taken down, but that's about it, really, I think. They're okay, they're actually being very passive on DTR. I'm very surprised. They're just not taking it anywhere. Okay. Keep going backwards, I guess. I mean, you lost Alien as well now. That is a fair point. But I mean, yeah, lost so much steam. They lost that Uber ad completely that they had, and well, here we are again. Reset. Didn't want to go. We've seen this a lot out of DTR today.
Yeah, the problem is they don't want to use the Uber in a bad situation, right? Like, yeah, you had those 40 seconds of nearly of Uber ad, but like, you can't get your position, you can't get your players in a lot of these scenarios, and they were really zoned off. With Yak as well gone, a lot of that kind of combo power is just not there to really bring to bear, and you know, yeah, it's just difficult to really find these opportunities sometimes, and we've definitely seen that across, well, this map and the last.
Well. Venomcrest being in the stalemate situation when they're attacking usually favors them a little bit, so they just seem like they know how to deal with this a little bit better. They find openings a bit better, their off classes work a little bit better, or at least they tend to be working a little bit better, so I guess we'll see. Flick's kind of just stuck in no man's land. Can't really go anywhere, just hoping that he will be able to get away with this Yak puck pick, and he does. He does get the Yak frag. That's what he wanted. And you know what?
The taunt.
Perhaps the taunt is important there as well. Perhaps that's the aggression they want. Yeah, okay, that's just gonna be what they roll off of. The Uber comes through. The sniper's a priority pick there as the exchange is underway. Much better Uber for the side of Venomcrest, but it's also a lot less players to use it on because everybody's a little bit more disconnected now in the post-Uber fight. See how well it favors either team. I mean, they traded out Smile for a sniper effectively, but positions favored DTR, and they're just going to take mid, at least for the time being.
Yeah, gonna get that time reset. Only 4 minutes on the clock. DTR feel like this is their opportunity, their time to strike forward. And I mean, as we said, with even Ubers, it can be a little bit difficult, but just need to find that one player, really, to start pushing this one over and moving towards that last. But they need to do it quick, as again, can take some time to crack that open.
And they're working on it, slowly but surely, methodically. DTR playing at their own pace. Ubers are equal, so they gotta try and get in before they become an issue. And Varner going down may very well give them a little bit of ground. Unfortunately, Ams dies on the other side, so it doesn't amount to much. Here goes the second scout with Flick down as well. Lots of damage to the combo. Matter of fact, Yak goes down. Nicky manages to find that frag before escaping. And now, well, it's kind of even. It's a bit better for Venomcrest. They are on the chase as well. They really want this exchange, and Juxta is eventually going to use to try and keep his team alive. Obviously, it's a lot better for Venomcrest. Matter of fact, they don't have to use. They didn't have to go for the exchange after all. They can just get away with all of that aggression and manage to probably take mid off the back of it. Looking a bit dire. Looking a bit dire for DTR once more. But perhaps they can just get a nasty little pick right now to just turn it right around. I mean, we've seen them capable of it before. Flick on the sniper already. Perhaps he can get the crucial angle he needs. Perhaps they can just get an early force, but it looks like the NC are just going to use it straight through and see what they can get with it instead. And turns out what they're getting with it is a second point, and that's about it.
Yeah, not getting much more. They really needed extra credit there, I feel. Otherwise, it's going to be a real problem. They're going to have about 60%, maybe even 70% Uber disad here, which is really very bad for them. I think Venomcrest should be in a pretty bad spot right now. If the push comes through, it does indeed. There it goes. They only lose 2. You can see Vanu looking for something cheeky in the backline there, but doesn't manage to make it happen. Venomcrest, I think, looking at this one and going, okay, well, we kept our meta alive. Now we're the ones with about 40 ad here. Let's make it happen.
It's a lot of leapfrogging, lots of back and forth here as teams just kind of accomplish very little with their Ubers, but perhaps the no Uber zone is where they want to be, and not for Smile though, he's going back to respawn queue. They trade him out for Tyram eventually, but Venomcrest keenly aware of the situation they find themselves in. Just about in time, Eon managed to get his Uber ready. They do lose a couple of players though. Juno and Vanu both go down anyway, and the Yak will get caught as well as he's taken care of. Eon obviously dies. It's a full wipe for the side of Venomcrest, matter of fact, and the only saving grace is that they got Juxta.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, but it's still going to be an Uber edge for Juxta and DTR right now. This is exactly where they would really want to be. Obviously, they'd rather have the medic up, but it's really not that bad for them. A minute and a half to get that Uber up, to go for a push into last. I mean, it's possible DTR can make it happen, but it is very much a hopeful look forward for them, because they can be a bit of a slow team at times, and definitely slow to get started on these lasts.
Yeah, I guess we'll see. They've struggled with pushing this last for a while. And the Ubers, I mean, they're equal, but one of them is a crit streak, so, you know, it'll actually be ready sooner. And if somehow, some way, Yak can sneak the magic sticky onto a team that isn't quite ready for the crits to come their way just yet, perhaps things will turn around again for Venomcrest. But this crits has to stick. They don't have a lot of time to make it work. There's already a lot of point pressure coming out of the side of DTR, matter of fact. There's a crit heavy. That's the target they want. Obviously, the laser beams, but they only fight one target. They only got one, and oh no, Juxta. Okay, he does just barely live. That's dangerous, though. Just letting Juno sneak in like that.
The Uber right away? They really want to catch this. Alien dives forward. Ambus on the point, wants to try and go for the time, but with that Uber can't actually make it happen. And with so few players, they've got to be worried. Nicky doesn't even find anything on the left-hand side right now. Completely zoned away from this. The same is true of Ams. And Alien can't make it happen. Gets a good stick forward, but that's it. And Smile tries to dive forward. Sentry gun gone right away. They want to get on this point. Ams looks for it, but is denied away by the heavy, by the soldier. Eon trying to keep their team alive. Ams is on point, keeping it going, but there's the sticky. And Juxta is going to have to try and take down 2, but only got 1 there. That is a disaster for DTR. They had the opportunity, but it just doesn't come to fruition.
Yet again a stalemate, and yet again. I actually don't remember. Is this that was the actual map timer? Okay, it's always a bit confusing because the time went very quickly all of a sudden. We're going to a golden cap. You look at that. Suddenly, this game slowed down quite a bit.
Yeah,
we had a bit of a quick start, not decently. I mean, it was grueling still 10-minute rounds, right? It was a bit quicker at the first half of this map, and then both teams kind of started getting a feel for each other, locking it down, and well. It's going to be decided in a golden cap. At the very least, DTR aren't going home completely pointless. They snuck some points off of off of Venomcrest, I suppose, but Venomcrest are going to be happy to at least get 4 points as well, no matter what. So they're already looking better on the race for somehow, some way still making playoffs, although I don't think anybody would reasonably expect them to. I guess we'll see. I guess it's going to be interesting to see if they manage to or not, but it's to this Golden Cap.
It will be interesting. I mean, this kind of also highlights just how Metalworks really goes sometimes. It really is difficult to push onto that last, right? It can be very, very easily defensible, and a lot of times, like, you can't just pop Uber and take it, you know? Like, even with an advantage, like, sometimes if they just play back into spawn and kite correctly, if they can get you to pop it early with a sniper, it can be a bit problematic here. And I think we kind of saw that happen, right? Is that both teams were stuck on last, and the rest of it was just really seesawing from left to right. To Venom and to DTR, right? Like, I'm definitely really interested to see how this Golden Cap is going to go, but you can see just how even it was and how much of a back and forth it was. The logs, which are coming up just now, I believe, if I heard correctly.
No, that was a live in 90. They're actually going to start up soon. They're not giving us much of a break. They're not giving us much of a break at all for this Golden Cap. I want to keep going. I don't mind it at all. It was like a lot of leapfrogging, and it was a lot of back and forth. Teams pushing each other to their lasts and then going coast to coast, but not being able to convert. I think nerves are getting to him, right? It's getting late as well. To be fair, it's been a long game to an extent. You know, the first map went to time. This one's obviously going to time and Golden Cap. It's decently long. It's decently slow. These matches they eat away at your psyche ever so slightly, and if you're running out of stamina, this is the time where running out would really, really hurt you. It's always bad to have a drop-off in form, but now when it matters most, it's going to be on the team that performs better under pressure. And I feel like, I mean, it's weird calling DTR the more experienced team, but they do have the more experienced players on there, right? They haven't played together in this exact composition as much as Venomcrest have, obviously. But in when it comes to the cracking under pressure and stuff, I feel like the people who are more experienced, who've played for longer, and played at higher levels for longer, maybe that'll be the edge they need to get them that final round, right? To get them that Golden Cap win that they're now hoping for, to close it out before everybody falls asleep for the night. It's dark out. People just want to go home, go to bed. But they got to sit through at least more 15 minutes of this if they don't manage to convert the round, as it's all or nothing for the final map for Metalworks, and we'll see who can start it off well, with KN being the first to fall, but the Varnu Heavy is out on the mid fight once more, and it doesn't look like DTR are woefully aware of it just yet. They've also lost their own flick, and there's the Heavy out onto the mid, just being a little bit of a nuisance as Alien somehow picked off Eon in all the scrambling, and Venomcrest mid is going to fall apart off the back of that. Not only did they lose the point already with the Heavy play, now they have to scramble to get onto Juxta, and they just can't do it. He's too elusive, he's too slippery.
Man, oh man. I mean, look, I appreciate the fact that this is one of the maps where you can run that heavy mid, but showing it so late in the round, it kind of achieved very little. And as a result of you having that heavy there kind of alone, essentially, your medic was completely vulnerable. And a big mess up from Venomcrest here. Finding themselves in a pretty dire spot. KN up on high, edge bugging at the top there. You can see that Tyrant really wants to try and put that pressure on, but it's not quite happening. Uber forcing them away. A lot of pressure coming out from DTR as they take down a couple of these players. With Alien gone, they don't have the area control that they really need right now. Janu catches Smile in the air as they cap away. They do deny with Varnu as Nikki tries to contest with a little bit of pressure here. It doesn't quite happen. They're going to heal up. They're going to get Flick back in the game. They want to just get on towards this point, and KN knows that. That's why they're playing so far forward. A Sticky that just about buys the time. Yak gets low. Juxta goes in for it, finishes off Yak, but there it is. The soul denying away Hiram steals the show and stops DTR in their tracks. For least for now. But there's a couple of extra players looking to make sure that nothing quite slips away from them. DTR. So instead, they hold strong.
Jesus.
Anyway, sorry, Venomcrest holds strong. Apologies, I got a bit mixed up there.
Jesus Christ, that's going the full mile. That's about as close as you can hold a point for. Tyram, just the spawn just in the nick of time, buying the frags he needs to. managing to get Alien just low enough as well, or whatever. Wow, that could have been won on so many occasions for DTR. They must be screaming at themselves. They had the war of attrition on their side with the medic still living, and it still wasn't enough. And now they have to just win this fight somehow, as they've already traded out 2 players for 1. Crucially, Alien is dead again. This guy just can't stay alive for whatever, like, for the life of him. He just gets a bit too disconnected, and now there's a chance for Venomcrest to push out. They can't really go for round resets here. I mean, they could, but it's a lot more risky. So they'll be pushing out in just a second. They'll be recapping that, and KN even manages to just chat out the fight. It gets 2 scouts, manages to take down 1 before finally dying. ETR on the back foot, at least on the rotation a little bit more. Maybe they can get themselves in through this alleyway. Stickies are cleared off for a little bit, and they had a little bit of ground off the back of it as well, but Nicky's denied his bomb, doesn't really get in, and they have to play it slow, they have to play it steady. Ubers are in play for both teams as well, so whoever can get that force off first is going to be feeling themselves a little bit better in the situation. Unfortunately for them, neither team really managed to do it. Smile couldn't really accomplish much either, just gets a shot out of the sky, and it opens things up for Venomcrest to re-aggress a little bit, maybe perhaps. They're being careful as well. Fair enough. They don't want to send it right away.
Yeah, Uber going to come through here. Anders jumps right onto Eon, gets the force. They begin to back on out. However, they are separated. Neither will go down, as it is Fleck who dies on the flank right now. DTR, very happy to trade there. They want to try and catch someone a little bit more here, but it's not quite happening. Tyrant gone. They will have the player ad in a couple of seconds once Flick comes back up and moves on over. They're going to head up the left-hand side, look to cut that off. Nicky beginning to move into position. Alien caught right away here, and Ams is very low as well. Juxta completely away from the rest of their team, and Nicky is trying as they might, but they're not going to kill Eon.
Yeah, two soldiers left, at least in the fight right now, with Flick coming in for backup as well. Nicky and Smile will both get cleaned up though. Yeah, can't quite be taken down. Here we are. They do hold on to that second. They do have a chance to get out into mid as well. Flick is still up. He is being a little bit of a cheeky bugger, hiding away, but he's gonna actually have to have that play amount to anything, you know? Him being around isn't enough, and he has to actually make something happen as well. And it's taking them a while. They've taken a sweet time. So I guess we'll see if anything ever amounts out of that whole play. Or Venomcrest just move on forward. They're just going. They're just moving.
Look, that's
Uber as well. Okay. I mean, they're chasing this deep. They really wanted to go for like some sort of even pick there with that Uber. It's an early ambitious one, and he's got to obviously have a counter Uber ready for Juxta. Finally, a bit of a reconnection comes in with the flank as well. As Flick finds his way back into it, the Uber comes out for the side of DTR, and it's so much better. Venomcrest way out of position. Probably expected a lot less of an Uber out of the side of DTR, and it's only Varnu left alive, who is, to be fair, in a very aggressive position. But will it be enough to do anything? Will it be enough to finish off this back gap? Will it be enough to pull players back? There was a scout already looking for you, and Nicky's there to help with the cleanup, so it's not happening. They're getting the mid, and DTR is going to keep it rolling forward.
Yeah, nicely done though by DTR there, making sure they don't lose any players to anything cheeky. Speaking of cheeky, KN, serial edgebugger, looking for a chance to catch someone off guard as they move through main here. But obviously, with this situation, DTR are looking towards Valley. They're trying to get some of those bombs in as Smile goes for it. And look who comes around the corner. KN manages to find Ams, but not much more. They get some good damage on Smile. Importantly, they don't take them down. Alien is left a little less guarded, but with Flick still hanging around, DTR are going to take second and start to look towards that last. It is going to be a little bit of an Uber decide on second, so I think Venomcrest making the right choice to move to last and recoup that Uber.
It's the last that's been their kryptonite for a while, but it doesn't matter because they get what they want straight away. A big bomb in, managed to get the force out of Eon straight away. They don't find any frags outside of it either. Ams and Jux are the only ones left, but a 4-man sack for that Uber might very well be worth it if they can keep themselves in it. Naturally, Venomcrest well aware what the play is going to be at hand here, so they want to get that second capped off as soon as possible. Put themselves on a bit of a buffer here, because that DTR Uber is going to be biting them if they're not ready for it, and if you lose on second here, it could be very, very bad. They obviously want to give themselves as much space as possible, much time as possible to build their own Uber as it comes out finally for DTR, and it's going to be looking for anything to kill, anything at all. Lots of damage onto Yak. He does eventually get taken down as well. That's a crucial pick actually to get if you're trying to get into this last, even if you haven't capped second yet. That demo being out of the equation gives you so much space to work with, gives you so many places to just run through. Who wins that scout duel just about, but Kayan got taken down on the other side. Smile, lots of damage as well to clean that up onto Junu, and Nicky's right on time, right on target for this combo. Will eventually get the force out of Eon as the cap time is being put down ever so slightly, but Juxta's caught! Yak manages to redeem himself with the respawn, and it's just gonna keep him in this for ever so slightly longer. It's more players for the side of DTR, but they can't quite get onto that crucial target of Eon that they want so badly. He's gonna stay alive. Flick can't really get much done either, has to escape. And it's another close one. This one didn't quite go their way either. Now 20% ad, roughly, for the side of Venomcrest isn't a lot. It's not a lot to write home about whatsoever. And even if they're going to cap the second, there's going to be a lot of counter pressure coming out of the way of DTR straight away. But in fact, Yak's just out of position, gets caught out completely. Effectively trade out for just Mile, and the spy play out of Flick and all the chaos could be the very thing they need to turn around. It's worked once before. He's been a prolific spy player on this map, so maybe it works.
Needed well. Already behind. We're going to come via lower here. Making their way on up. That spam coming through. They are completely distracted right now. Look, it's going to get it. It's so easy, baby. Aeon down. This is exactly what the side of DTR are looking for. They're going to have a massive, complete ad here. They might even just use straight away, even have ad when Eon respawns if they use it quickly, or at least very, very close here. It goes down. They are down a player, yes, but that position is absolutely going to be theirs. Perky comes in the backside, takes that Uber completely away from them, and might have just done the play, which Venomcrest desperately needed to keep them in.
Just about saving the round for Venomcrest there, keeping them in the game. Two crucial spy plays now out of Flick that have been thwarted by different means, and probably won't amount to much. Eon picking up the Kritzkrieg. Looking to turn it around with that again, being a bit of an X factor here. Could certainly work. I mean, Juxta's still far and away from an Uber, and if they can make this crits work, more power to them. Yak isn't quite ready yet. He's not going to be up with the team for a little while longer, so if DTR just take their time and don't get too aggressive, they won't even get caught by anything. Matter of fact, Nicky, okay, well, he does get caught in the lobby, but the crits come out, and they kind of don't really find their target. They do a bit of damage with it, and eventually they find Eon, and they actually clean up a lot of the team. But I think the crits weren't really even much of a crucial part in that, because, well, they say they killed the whole team. They almost do. They actually don't quite clean up the last few frags, and Kane is the only one left, trying to hold the second. Okay, does manage to hold off Flick at the very least, but it's still not looking great for Venomcrest. They still have to hang on to this. Kayan is putting in the work, man, trying to keep this going, and they might just be able to at least, reform a little bit on second, but it's not looking great. They still have to be careful about this.
They really do. There's only 4.5, well, almost 4 minutes left on the clock. Not a lot of time to work with here. And I mean, look, it's about 10 ad. It's not really going to be anything. As I say that, Eon goes down. Yet again, Nicky finds the magic. Venomcrest, again, kind of lose quite a lot here. They really need to be careful. They really need to backpedal as soon as they darn well can and try and put some players forward, try and catch Juxta. Otherwise, they're going to be the ones really posed between a rock and a hard place.
He's got Eon's number, man. You said it before. He's kind of just on top of that guy when he needs to be, and that's keeping him in this again. A big Uber ad now for DTR. Obviously, I'm picking up the crits. A very, very sound choice here at this point. You might as well try, right?
Yeah.
But that Uber is going to come in for DTR any second. There it is. It's going to be in the post fight where the victor may be decided here, as has auto captain put on already. Well, at least a little bit. They find a couple frags as well. Kayan is not looking that healthy either. Matter of fact, gets taken down. It's looking very good for DTR. They haven't lost any players at all, matter of fact, and they do eventually win in the Golden Cap. Here you go. DTR win Metalworks, albeit took them a while to get there. It was quite a lot of work to get there, to round that out. And they get themselves some well-earned 2 points. Two well-earned points, I guess, that they really fought for those. They really deserve them as well, some people may say.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it really gives us a compelling story about this kind of mid-table, right? Because Venomcrest winning that first map, over on Granary was unexpected. It wasn't their map pick. And they really showed us just how strong a team they can be, right? They completely shut down a lot of the pushes that were coming out of DTR and just held well once they got that early lead. Really nicely played. But DTR came back here, managed to take it, sure, yeah, in a Golden Cap win, but at least a win here over their opponents in this mid-tables. And I think it makes it really exciting looking towards the latter end of the season, just who's going to make it out, you know?
Yeah, like, people might think that, like, with the way the top four are kind of stacked in Prem this season, it's almost a foregone conclusion, right? I feel like if neither of these teams manage to take away any points from those top four within the remaining weeks, they're going to have a hard time even just making playoffs, even if, you know, the rest of their matches are clean and perfect and great. I mean, this is about as evenly matched as they could have been, right? But yeah, this is almost bad for both teams in a way that they tie the maps here, because neither team probably went home with as many points as they wanted today.
No. Yeah.
I think they're both going to be kind of like, oh man, like, we really shouldn't have lost that one map, right? So it's not going to be looking that great for them. Yeah, logs are on screen. This time it's AMS top rolling as the scout, picking up the pace. Not a great first map for DTR, but managing to lock in for the second one, doing the work that needs to be done, and putting the fight up for Venomcrest this time around. And I mean, it shows. The numbers are. I mean, it shows that this was a close match, because look at how even the numbers are for the most part as well. But yeah.
I mean, the thing I want to highlight, right, is it really was a game of two classes for two different sides, right? Because AMS and Brain is going away, and Flick both have really decent performances, especially obviously AMS on this map. And I think it was a really crucial part of what allowed DTR to have the success that they had. But you look over at Venomcrest, and it really was Tyram and KN just constantly showing up, constantly finding those frags, finding good damage, setting up their team overall, and kind of being the real drivers of Venomcrest, especially on that explosive front, and making up for some mispositions from some of the Venomcrest players. I really loved the fact that they were having to make those picks, and frankly, what kept them in this map for so long. I think otherwise, without some of these pretty Hail Mary plays from Venomcrest, DTR probably could have crushed this one and made it, at the very least, not an overtime win, not a Golden Cap, sorry.
I feel like they took a while to get warmed up, I guess. That's a way of looking at it as well, especially on the first map. They were looking lost for a lot of it, so I don't know, I don't know what exactly it is, right? Maybe they just didn't have as many warm-up scrims or something like that, not as much time. Who knows? At the end of the day, it doesn't matter anymore. It's in the past. Things have happened. Things have concluded. These teams clearly were evenly matched, and going to be looking at chances to perhaps sneak away a playoffs spot. If somebody wants to slip up in those last few weeks now, there's a chance maybe. But yeah, looking forward to that, I suppose. Realistically, we'll have to see. I don't know if there's anything else left this week in terms of matches. I don't. Oh no, there's on Sunday. Okay, yeah, that's the final one. So look out for that, chat. Look forward to that one. Keep your eyes peeled on the socials, all the usual stuff, right? The plugs and that. And I mean, it's a big match on Sunday, Anthracite and Witness. And we'll see you then, I suppose. Have a good night.